Greetings to all you change makers. Welcome to the afternoon campfire session. I hope you brought your own s'mores. It is a BYOS time. The campfire session today is called Humanizing Higher Education. And I'm Ann Keene. I'm the Global Education Lead for Zoom. And I have the great pleasure of introducing our co-founder and CEO, Eric Yuan, and also our Chief Diversity Officer, Damien Hooper Campbell. And I'm going to take it away, let Damien take it away, and we're going to hear Eric's personal story and his educational journey.
Thank you so much, Ann. Hi, everybody. As Ann mentioned, my name is Damien Hooper Campbell. I am on day 31 at Zoom as the company's first Chief Diversity Officer. This is also very relevant for me because I'll also be leading our university recruiting team. And so it's been a pleasure to meet Ann. And on behalf of Zoom, thank you so much to the entire Learning Human team. This has been fantastic and just learning about this event. And so I'm excited to be here with Eric today. This is really about humanizing this conversation, which is really important as we think about diversity and inclusion. And so just so you know where we're going for the next few minutes, we'll probably take about 20 minutes. I've got some questions for Eric. That really dig into maybe a little bit more of his personal story first. And then we'll pivot a little bit to talk a little bit about Zoom and Zoom's role in humanizing higher education and education generally speaking. And so with that, Eric, I don't even know the answer to this question, but as you think back, to your time in school, did you ever do a summer camp or anything like that? And if so, tell us a little bit about that. What was that like?
Absolutely. I think if I'm like 20 or 30 years younger, I'd like to go to the campus every summer. I can tell you the summer camp, this I would say is one of in my career, and back to 2006, is one of the best career moments for me. Because at that time, I was at WebEx, I was very busy, worked so hard to manage the WebEx engineer team. And I went to Stanford, lived there for the entire summer. I think that's the biggest summer camp, which is my executive program certificate, and almost 7 or 8 weeks. I truly enjoyed that. And not only did I sort of relax, but also learn a lot, not only from professors, a lot of great guest speakers, but also learn from so many other peers. I think this is one of the best time, I think, in my career.
Thanks, Eric. And so digging even a little bit further back, right, and really wanting to understand your educational journey, you walked us through something that maybe is a little bit more recent. Can you help folks just to understand inside the mind of Eric and what was your educational journey? Where did it start? And maybe walk us through the progression all the way up through that Stanford experience that you just mentioned.
Yeah, so great question, Damien. I think education or learning journey, never stops, right? At any time, you got to figure out a way, right, to keep learning. So, and I was born in China. I got my master's degree, and then I moved to Silicon Valley in 1997 to pursue my American dream. And since then, I was extremely busy. The only time, I went into the campus is 2006, as I mentioned earlier. But also every day, actually, it's more like a learning day, right? So you learn a lot from others, from your peers, from other leaders, from your employees, and or maybe read a book. I think overall, as long as you enjoy learning, you do not need to always say, hey, go back to campus. You can do so many things, online learning, and a lot of materials from the internet. You can always learn. I think that the key is about you have a learning mentality. That's the key. Yeah.
Agreed. And for all those folks who maybe are just meeting Eric, I can tell you that what he just said is 1000% true. As many of you know, we're going as a world and as a nation going through the journey around racial and social justice. And Eric has been just tenacious about trying to read and learn and listen. So I have seen that borne out, Eric, in my interactions with you, and so I appreciate that. Okay, so back to a little bit more on the personal things having to deal with your educational journey. Did you have a favorite class or a favorite professor, and kind of tell us a little bit about why on both of those?
I think when I was prior to college, I really did not have any favorite class because I was not a good student. So I did not spend a lot of time to get a grade A or A plus, and I was working on so many things. Until I was in college, I realized, wow, it's time for me to focus on learning. My favorite class is a math class, because my bachelor degree is about the applied mathematics. So, and I still remember the professor for my mathematical analysis teacher, and he also is my favorite teacher. I really learned a lot. So, and yeah, that's my favorite class. But again, today, actually, I think recently I got the book and the college, the math book. Unfortunately, I do not understand any of them anymore. So it's tricky. So.
Right on. Got it. Okay. Thank you for that. And then tell us a little bit, Eric, about how you like to learn. There's some folks who like to be off in a corner reading. There's some people who, want to listen as they learn, and some folks are experiential. And then there's many other ways. Tell us about how Eric likes to learn best.
Yeah, it's as we also always discuss it here, right? When we try to hire the new employees, we always focus on those employees with a self-learning mentality. Because the self-learning, that's very important. Meaning you got to enjoy learning. If you truly enjoy learning, I think you can learn from all different sources. Like you buy a book, you proactively reach out to other leaders and have one-to-one meeting. And yeah, again, as long as you want to learn, there's so many, sources, you can leverage, right? You can learn from. So the self-learning, is sort of my way. Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of learning, Eric, I know a lot of people are learning, these virtual conversations. And so my ask to everybody is just to take a housekeeping check, and everybody please make sure that you're on mute. We can hear a couple of people speaking, and just everybody mute if you can. Thank you so much. So Eric, you have children, and help us to understand a little bit about what your words of wisdom have been to them when it comes to learning and success and thinking about, higher education, for example.
Yeah, I think, I have 3 kids. I guess probably I should, ask about this question to others, because I really want to learn. Because I sort of know how to manage a team with more than 3,000 employees. But when it comes to, managing or teaching or motivating my kids, I do not think I did a good job. I quite often told them it's time to sleep, do not play games, you got to focus on this. My God, it took me several years effort. They still did not, listen to me. So I think seriously, I struggled. Again, I did recommend so many books to them, but somehow they have their own agenda. So I'm still learning. I do not think I can give a good answer to that question for now.
Well, I'm sure that some folks would be more than happy to drop some parental advice into the chat. Please feel free to, folks. You've heard Eric ask for it. He is exemplifying what it means to be a continuous learner. So Eric, pivoting a little bit from your own personal educational journey and thinking a little bit more about Zoom, right? Can you take us to that moment? You'd been educated academically, you'd been working professionally and learning along the way too. Can you take us to that moment when the light bulb of all that learning kind of converged into, I'm going to create Zoom?
Yeah, so, I live in Silicon Valley. Why, one of the key reasons why Silicon Valley is a worldwide innovation center is that there's so many great leaders here. The density of the leaders in Silicon Valley, probably, I would say 10 times more than any other places. And, when I came here in 1997, during my career at WebEx or at Cisco, I met with so many great leaders. And quite often, I also proactively reach out to them. They all, reply my email back, and they have a coffee or maybe have a phone call to learn from them. I think the one of the sessions I joined is back to the Cisco time. We had an offsite leadership training the session, and Cisco invited the former CEO of Walmart, H.Lee Scott, and he talked about the leadership tips. Essentially he shared the 10 tips. I think that's probably one of the most important moments for me. Try to think about what I can do to become a better version of myself and to become a better leader. And I wrote down the 3 of his 10 leadership tips and made it a poster. And that's the only thing I brought, carried with me after I left Cisco. And this is the poster, the 3 leadership tips, and from former Walmart CEO. I think, again, this is something, if you really want to learn, maybe some of those moments, you may not know before, but later on, looking back, I think a huge influence to me and to try to become a better leader.
That's actually a perfect segue into the next question, which is looking back, right? And trying to remember your mindset back then when you started Zoom or started to think about, the concept of Zoom. And then now fast forwarding to today, did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine that Zoom would be having the kind of impact in helping, to amplify education, for instance, for higher education institutions, and just the impact that it's having on the world today?
Yeah, I do think when we started Zoom back in 2011, we never thought about all kinds of use cases on Zoom platform. But however, we do know, and video is a new voice. Video is going to change the way for us to communicate, to live, to play. And also to start with, we targeted the business, business customers. And also the first 3 paid customers are all from higher ed. Stanford, the first the customer, Menlo College is the second one. And since then we realized, online teaching, online class, that's the future. And, always one of our top priorities to serve for the, education market.
I didn't know that. So what I'm hearing is from the very start, we've had a very natural partnership with higher education, which is beautiful. Okay. And then, I'll throw out one more question for now. It looks like we've got a few questions from the audience, so I want to make sure that we get to those, Eric. But, when the pandemic hit, and, prayers and love go out to everybody on this call and your families. I hope we at Zoom hope everybody's doing well in the midst of all this. But Eric, when the pandemic hit, Zoom was very quick to say we have a role in all of this and to be supportive of K through 12 institutions. I think we have supported something like over 100,000 K through 12 institutions have signed up for a program where we've enabled them to use our platform to get to students and to talk with each other. Can you talk a little bit about why that was so important for us to move on that as a company?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So, back to early March, when the pandemic crisis, started, as our company, the value is care, right? It's care about the community, company, customer, teammates, as well as ourselves. To care about the community, that's the number one important thing, right? It's sort of to show our company's corporate social responsibility. When we realized, on Friday, a lot of K-12 schools, they had to shut it down, right? They are going to move the classes online. However, there's no tools, they are panic. And after we realized that, we decided, hey, why not we add more capacity to offer the tools, for free to all those K-12 schools. And during the weekend, we were working so hard at a lots of provision, lots of servers, and I feel very excited. Even today, we think that's probably one of the best decisions because my 3 kids also use Zoom as well, and for online learning. But the only mistake I think I made is for the first several days, I think I made a huge mistake and I forgot that some of those K-12 schools, they may not have IT team. Right? They may not enforce all those security features, but we quickly fixed all those issues. Again, the intention is good, to show our corporate social responsibility, to really care about the community, society where we live, but I also wanted to be more thoughtful down the road, even if you have a good intention. But again, to serve for the K-12 schools is something new, and we are very excited. On personal front, I can tell you that was the first time when my daughter asked about the question, about how to raise your hand, within the Zoom interface. She never asked about any questions about Zoom before. I also feel very excited when she asked about that question. So.
I love it. I love it. And I just saw that one of our audience members wrote in chat, we all learn from our mistakes. And I just think how appropriate for an event like this that is about education and learning that you brought up, Eric, the learning that you've had along the way. And personally, I saw your blog before I started, and I appreciated that Zoom and you were very vocal in saying, look, we had good intent, the impact, we can do better, and we're going to do better, and really owning it. So kudos to those of you who really leaned in on that, Eric. So I think at this point, what we'll do is pivot over to a few audience questions. Let's see how we do there, and we'll come back and wrap up. So with that, I think I'm going to pass it back to you, Anne,
Sure.
to walk us through a few questions.
Okay. Am I off mute? Yes, I am.
Yes.
Okay, great. Before we do that, I was wondering if you might talk a little bit, Eric, about some of our partnerships that we recently announced with ASU, Carnegie Mellon, and also with Claflin University.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, so for us, right, to keep growing, to keep delivering happiness to our users, we cannot do it, by ourselves. We need more partners. Take ASU, for example. This is great partnership. And I learned a lot from the CIO of ASU, like Lev, and, always give us some advice, share with us what we should do differently about the features. And, those kind of, partnership, can truly help us to shape our company's the strategy and to understand. This is the part of learning, because otherwise, I think when we try to make the decisions by ourselves without sitting down to listen to our customers, I guarantee you we're going to make mistakes. And that's why it is a part of learning, it's a partnership, it's a part of the overall learning to help us always do the right thing, for the customers. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So a couple questions. Eric, what other leaders do you draw inspirations from?
Oh, I think the good news, because you have tools like Zoom, and over the past several months, I think I talked with many other, the peer, CEOs, right? Back in March and April timeframe, when we, experienced, those kind of privacy challenges, I talked with many other CEOs, right? And called them, and they give me some advice, and like Oracle CEO, Microsoft, former Cisco CEO, and Splunk CEO, VMware, and HP. I call them and try to get advice. No matter how busy they are, they all give me some advice, and essentially a lot of leaders, and I can count on, right? Ask about the advice, and sort of be, they are all my mentors, right, to help me and also help our business. Yeah.
Speaking of advice, one of the questions is, will we consider hosting an education advisory group to provide Zoom with insights about how to improve Zoom as a learning platform? And I'll answer, and then Eric, if you would like to add to it, but we most definitely, and that's one of my big initiatives as the global education lead, is to put together a global advisory board. And we're also going to do some roundtables with presidents and provosts. And we just recently did a education roundtable for chief internet security officers. So we have lots of plans to engage with the community, and we most definitely want to listen. And to that end, we've just hired a education product lead by the name of Tane Barzos too. And so we've been talking to a lot of our customers and prospective customers. So Eric, do you want to add anything more to that?
No, it's great. Well said. Thank you.
All right, let's see, another question. Let's see, what is next for Zoom?
I think, yeah, first of all, we got to, keep, growing our business. But the most important thing is what we should do differently, right? To keep delivering happiness to our users. That's very important, right? Not only do we have a tools like today, not only do we offer the existing features, and we received lots of feedback from our users over the past several months. And we are working very hard to prioritize those the feature requests or the enhancements. And again, the goal is very simple, and to deliver happiness to our users, do all we can to make sure, and whenever they are using Zoom, they feel happy, and it just works. So.
Thank you for that. So another question is, how might Zoom expand in the creative practices, music, theater, arts? What if that was the focus from the beginning instead of adapting a tool? Are you trying, maybe the essence of the question is how are we going to continue to adapt our platform to better enable music, theater, and art?
Yeah, so I also joined twice a live music party, on Zoom platform, and the musicians, they all, stayed at home and they play the music, and that experience is pretty good. However, there are also some challenges in terms of the internet connectivity, sometimes a little bit of the audio choppy issue. And again, this is not that something very easy to be fixed. So, but we're looking at that, how to support that use case. And again, it's a little bit challenging, but we are going to take that. So,
yeah, I would say sort of a sneak preview that we're actually have a lot of requests in that area, and we're doing some very interesting things. I think you'll see in the next few enhancements where we're being enabling some more around music and theater and production. So stay tuned for that. Another question is, would Zoom, or is Zoom already supporting small new nonprofits who are working on issues related to racial and social justice?
Yeah, we already support that. Maybe Damien, you can feel free to chime in, right? So yeah, we do have a program to support the non-profitable organizations, and quite often we may look at the customers and look at the organizations, and we very often we offer the free access or give them big discount. For us to build a Zoom, is really not about to make a lot of money. It's not the reason why for me to start a Zoom. The key is about to build the tools to help the people to make the world a better place, to help people stay connected.
Yeah, I would agree, Eric. And I'd say we are supporting nonprofit institutions that are related, that are on the front lines of doing this work around racial and social justice, and through 3 channels. The first is some of the things that we just know that we need to do. And so, most recently, and we didn't make a big deal about it because, to what Eric said, that's not really our style as a company. But we supported a couple of organizations, including the NAACP, the Equal Justice Institute with Brian Stevenson. And we supported them, with financial donations, and are having conversations now about how do we take that further with our product, with in-kind donations, but also with partnerships that go well beyond today. We don't see this current moment as a moment our thesis on this is that we're hoping that it's a movement, and we hope that we can leverage our product and our passionate people inside to help make that a movement. So that's one thing, is just as we chat as a leadership team, just saying, what do we need to do urgently? The second channel that we've used is our philanthropic program called Zoom Cares. And that comprises a number of employees across levels, across geographies and functions, where we think well in advance about how we might be planful quarter by quarter in supporting some of these nonprofit organizations. And so what we did immediately around the time that George Floyd lost his life is just the beginning. Our expectation is to continue to do this on an ongoing basis. And then I think the final channel that we use, and probably the one we're most excited about, is we actually give the remote control to our employees to tell us what they want to get involved in, but also to match their donations for a number of causes. And so we did that. We had an entire internal site that was focused on racial and social justice, and had a number of organizations, including the ones I mentioned and a couple of others, where employees could donate, and we would also match their donations. And so that's just a quick peek at the number of ways that we do it, and we expect to continue to do this into the long term.
Thank you, Damien. We have let's see, 3 more minutes. So I have a couple more questions, and then the ones that we can't answer here, we promise to follow up. This question, Eric, is, with Zoom becoming a huge player in remote learning and remote education, will our APIs continue to be improved to provide a better and faster closed captioning experience for service providers to provide captioning for the deaf and hard of hearing community of Zoom users?
Yes, right on. I think this is a great question, because one of the key focuses for us after this pandemic crisis is to how to unleash the power of our platform. Essentially, we already have a marketplace, and with our API, with our SDK, how to enable third-party developers and partners to build all kinds of applications upon our platform. That's our priority. Having started that, like a closed captioning or other speech to text transcription, all those functionalities, we are going to, not only do we have API, but also based on the feedback, we want to optimize our API as well. Yeah, that's a given for sure, for our platform play.
Excellent. Let's see, what geographies in the world does Zoom plan to grow in, and how much growth in terms of headcount is expected in the coming year? And we just today, I don't know if you saw, Eric, do you want to talk to them about our new office in Bangalore?
Yeah, that's right. So for now, we have users coming from more than 80 countries, right? But in terms of the top, the countries, the top 5 countries with most of users, and for sure it's US, India, Japan, UK, and Canada. Those are top 5 countries. And, for sure we are going to double down on that. In addition to that, in terms of office, we have so many offices, right? And not only here, but also in other countries, like as you mentioned, we just opened up a new office in India. I think we are going to have more offices, but now see that we already have a lot of employees in Singapore. We're thinking about also open up a big office over there as well. And also like, Brazil, Germany. Yeah, again, as we further expand, we are going to, open up more offices worldwide.
Okay, and I think we have one more question, and then it will be time to get your marshmallows out for roasting.
By the way, I want to add one more thing. Also, we are going to hire more engineers and, around the ASU campus and, in that area. And if you know of any good candidates, please let us know. Yeah.
Not only there, but also
in
Carnegie Mellon
as well. Yeah.
Okay, last one. What is Zoom already doing or planning to do to drive improved bandwidth efficiency? A 10% reduction would literally have a global impact right now due to Zoom's sheer size and prevalence, especially in distance learning.
Yeah, so first thing we did, during this pandemic crisis, we disabled HD video, put the feedback from a cable, modem, operators. And this is the reason why is to optimize for the entire internet. So we keep, optimizing our technology, right, to make sure we not send any unnecessary, the bandwidth. Again, it's sometimes it's not that easy. We need a balance between the bandwidth consumption and quality. Otherwise, you really focus on optimization of bandwidth, but the quality is not good, right? So how to, balance between those two, factors? Again, we have a team dedicated on that. The good news is in a very low bandwidth environment, I think Zoom also tends to, and work very well too.
Okay, thank you. So Eric, I have your s'mores for you, and here we go. And Damien, yours. And so thank you very much. And thank you to the whole Learning Human team for having us today. And we will definitely answer some of your questions if we didn't get to them live. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.